am Justin Boyd.
And I'm Frank Cooper.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. Today we are here to discuss Batman, the Cape Crusader, or Batman Cape Crusader. Sorry, no, the new animated series that's on Amazon Prime Video, which kind of weird considering, Batman is Warner Brothers, certainly DC's number one character. And they do have a streamer called Max we're all aware of. So kind of a strange move that it's not on Max, but these are strange times. So here we are. And before I get Frank's thoughts on the season of Cape Crusader, let me hit you with some Batman Cape Crusader facts. It premiered on August 1st of this month. It is again, it's on Amazon Prime Video. 10 episodes. It was a binge drop. All 10 dropped the same day. Developed by Bruce Timm, who, if you're familiar with Batman, the animated series, he was one of the creators of that. So if you see similarities between this show and that show, there's a reason why. Executive producers on this are J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves, of course, is the director of the Batman with Robert Pattinson. Of course, the Penguin series is coming up soon. There's going to be a Batman Part 2, so you can see why he's involved. He's very much the Batman aficionado right now for DC films. And the cast. I'm going to go through the cast real quick because it's a big cast, but I'm going to go through the main cast members, and then I'm going to get Frank's thoughts on the season. Batman / Bruce Wayne is voiced by Hamish Linklater. Alfred Pennyworth is voiced by Jason Watkins. Eric Morgan Stewart plays Commissioner Gordon. Krystal Joy Brown is Barbara Gordon. John DiMaggio plays Harvey Bullock. Gary Anthony Williams is Arnold Flass. And Michelle C. Bonilla is Renee Montoya. Frank, what'd you think about the first season of Batman Cape Crusader?
I loved it. I liked it. It's very different. I liked how they went a different route with some of the character profiles that we all know and love. It's a lot of the villains, a lot of the antagonists and protagonists on the shows. I like the different takes that they did with some of the characters. I like the 1950s feel. I believe the animated series was more like a 1960s, 50s feel as well.
Yeah.
But this really felt like a very comic, golden era feel to the cartoon. Yeah. I like that they ratcheted up a little bit more with the adult rating. You saw some girl and girl action. that's what I knew. I was like, okay, this is not for kids. This is like, there was some light cursing there too.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Justin. I know we both saw the Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman movie.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of the Batman feel as far as like this incarnation of Batman early on his Cape Crusader days. You can tell he's younger. You can tell he's still honing his detective skills. The way he talks to Alfred is very rough. More rough than I remember other Batmans. Like, I know a lot of the other Batmans we've seen in the past, cartoons and movies. It's a more experienced Batman. There's more of that partner, indirect father-son feel with Alfred and Bruce. There's more respect factor as well with Alfred and Bruce and other imaginations of this character. This one, you can tell he's still weighing the loss of his parents. He still carries that with him. And he's pretty green. Like, even with some of the fighting styles I've noticed too in this cartoon, he's not as polished as I remember Batman in some of the other medias I've seen him in. But no, I loved it though. It was a fresh new take. I think it can get pretty boring doing another retread of the same thing over and over again. So a lot of the different tendencies and intricacies that they added to the show, I thought was pretty cool. And it's easy watch too. I mean, it was 20-minute episodes. It was an easy watch.
Yeah, no, I really agree with everything you said. Like, I think it's a really good show. It is a spiritual successor to the animated series. I mean, obviously you have similar people working on it, so there's going to be some crossover, but also it's definitely its own thing. Like, it's kind of interesting because this year we obviously got X-Men 97, which is a continuation of X-Men, the animated series, which, this year we're also getting this Batman Cape Crusader. which is not a continuation of Batman the Animated Series. But it's interesting because both those shows, Batman the Animated Series came out, I think, in '93, and X-Men the Animated Series came out in '92. So these were 2 shows that when we were kids were big parts of our lives. I mean, honestly, like, I remember I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like these were, like, on back to back sometimes. Or they were on around the same time, So to have both of them, like, kind of come back, obviously X-Men '97 is a continuation, this is not, but it's kind of a cool, like, parallel that I just thought about just a little bit ago. I was like, "That's kinda cool they're both back in our lives in this way." And I definitely kind of felt like a kid watching these again also, like, because I feel like and we'll get into, like, our favorite episodes and that kinda stuff, but, like, certainly, like, the episode with, Clayface, that reminded me of kind of the Clayface episode from the animated series. I mean, obviously, that Clayface is obviously kind of the monster Clayface, or he becomes that, but, like, it kinda had the same feel, and, I appreciated that, but, as far as what you're talking about Batman, it is interesting because the Batman I agree, it's like a younger version of Batman for sure, but I feel like Bruce Wayne is older, if that makes any sense. What do you think about that? Like, because he acts like he's definitely the playboy persona of Bruce Wayne, but then it's definitely like early days of Batman, so it's kind of a weird, like, it's like he's an older guy, but he just started becoming Batman, or did you kinda get that same feel?
I did. I got a more mature Bruce Wayne in this one. He seemed more multifaceted.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the other Batman media streams that we've seen, Bruce, you see a lot of the playboy persona with Bruce, the stargaze and the womanizing.
Yeah.
Here, you saw a lot more. He was a lot more dialed in with like the giving back, the philanthropy side of him. There's an episode where he's at a carnival, and he's connecting with the one of the headmistresses that he was very close with growing up as well. He's way more mature, I feel like, in this incarnation. Even like with political ties, like times of the Harvey Dent. In this version, like I don't remember Bruce really being involved in politics in other medias.
Yeah.
Maybe he was, but I don't recall. He seemed way more tied in to more political stuff with the city as well. So, and I agree. This is a way more mature Bruce.
Mhm.
That's it's a walking paradox to a way younger Batman per se. Um, one of the things I know we'll get into the episodes, but like one of the catch-all 22s I saw that really showed me his inexperience as Batman, or even as Bruce Wayne too, is when Harvey Dent first has an accident, and he with the acid and everything again, like he's forcing him to come out to, like, hey, let's go to dinner, let's go to Copa and get dinner or whatever. And I feel like like you can tell Harvey was visibly like uncomfortable. He wasn't ready. He was still a recluse, and I don't think a older Bruce would have like pushed him to come out. And I think that helped. I think that long term pushed Harvey did to become Two Face. And you even saw it like when Alfred said to him, like, I don't think he was ready to be pushed. And you could tell how Bruce didn't know how to take that, or how Batman didn't know how to take that. That's when
Yeah.
I realized, like, this is a younger Batman. Like this, he's
Mhm.
still trying to balance the Bruce Wayne Batman. Like we're all superheroes, man. I feel like the the um the unmasking of the person is more of the costume than the actual costume version of the person.
Yeah,
And you
right.
see that more in this character.
Yeah, Bruce is the mask, that's what they always say is like, Batman is who he is, but Bruce is the mask that he puts on for everybody else. So another point I wanna mention or kinda piggyback on what you're talking about, he is really tough on Alfred. Like, maybe even tougher than the Robert Pattinson version is on Alfred. I mean, he refers to him as Pennyworth the entire season until the very end of the last episode, I believe, and it's kind of like, it's kind of annoying, honestly. You're watching this, you're like, "Look, dude, this guy, like, he's taking care of you since you were, like, 8, 9 years old, and, like, you know, show a little bit of respect." Like, there's one part where, like, Batman's looking at his, map, and he's trying to plot, whatever next crime he's gonna stop, and he's like, Alfred gives him coffee, and he's like, "Oh, the coffee's cold," and it's like, dude, like, relax, like it's, come on, man, like, I don't know. I thought that was like, I mean, obviously there's kind of a reason, I guess, and obviously I think we're getting kind of, his turn toward the end of the season where he's opening up to Alfred, I guess, but it's like, man, this guy's been in your life, your whole life, and like has been your sole parent figure for 20 years or something. It's like, man, this is, you're being rough on the guy. He's more than the help, like he's your guy.
I guess, and I agree. That was one of the most telling things I noticed about the series, of how I've never seen Batman or Bruce talk to Alfred that way.
Yeah.
This is, like you said, is a guy who cleans your wounds, who's constantly taking care of you, and I guess that's Matt Reeves and the writing team way of like developing Bruce Wayne in his maturation process. I'm assuming hopefully by season 2 he sees Alfred more as a parental role model than the help. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe it's just story building to like soften Bruce as time goes on, as he gets more indoctrinated into the Cape Crusader role.
Yeah. I mean, because not only, I mean, the thing about Alfred is he's in this. He knows that Bruce is Batman. In fact, in this world, I think through this first season, the only person who knows that he's Batman is Alfred. Although I think that Harley Quinn, or Dr. Harleen Quinzel, I think she kind of was onto something. Of course, she didn't have a long run. I mean, so far, I'm sure that's one thing about this season. This season also is like every episode kind of introduced a villain, and they all kind of had their one off. And then I guess maybe we'll see some of them in the future. But the only the only quote unquote villain that continued throughout the whole season was Dent. He hasn't even become a villain until episode 8 or 9. So pretty interesting stuff as far as that. But before we go any further, I want to shout out King B Johnson in the chat. We appreciate you joining us. King, I noticed you mentioned several different titles from the episodes. Which episode was your favorite? Let us know in the chat. We'll put it up on the screen. And Frank, I want to throw that to you. Do you have a favorite episode or maybe a favorite couple of them?
Yeah, the top two that come to memory, man, is the Quinzel episode where she's like laundering the millions of dollars from all these rich people, and like
Yeah.
she has like her own layer of like of villains that have gone crazy, and she's like her little Saki Val playground. Like I thought that was kind of cool, and like not knowing that she was a lesbian. Like I was surprised that they went that route with Quinzel's character. Which was kind of surprising. But I love her character. Even her look is different. Like she has dark hair. She's more like more curvier in this incarnation. Like the character details are pretty cool. That episode is pretty cool. And then like the Penguin episode, like Penguin being a woman who has two sons, like that was a different stretch. That was a whole change. Like, and not only having two sons, but like being so cold and calculated towards her sons. Like, she's willing to kill her kids, to maintain this, being the top dog in Gotham City. Like, it's very, very different. Like I said, I love like the different character arcs and like character origins and like reimagination of these characters. I thought that was kind of cool to see Penguin and Quinzel in a different light, the way that we saw them in this series.
Yeah, they really made a lot of different like decisions with the villains, especially. You mentioned, the Penguin is Oswalda Cobblepot instead of Oswald. And she's a lounge singer and she owns the what is it, Iceberg Lounge, and it's a ship, it's a ship in this incarnation. And like you said, Harley Quinn, I think the character is supposed to be Asian because the actress who voices her, Amy, is Jamie Chung, who's Asian. So I think that they're kind of trying to go for that. You had Selena Kyle, who's from a rich family, although she doesn't have a ton of money left when we meet her. There's a lot of different things that they did with this, with Batman. Batman much like Spider-Man, they have the best villains in their respective, universes or comic book universes. And we got the full rogues gallery in this one pretty much. We even got some villains that I wasn't familiar with, like Firebug. I've heard of Firefly, but Firebug, is that one that you knew, Frank?
Never. I had to look him up. I had never heard of him before.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So Firebug, we had Gentleman Ghost Jim Craddock. Never heard of that character. The
No.
the reverse Robin Hood ghost who robs the poor and gives to the rich. That was a unique take.
Yeah, I was surprised it went supernatural.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more of a grounded series. The fact
Yeah.
that we saw that Craddock and then Nocturna, like I was like, this is okay. Because like a lot of times, the only times I really seen Batman among supernatural is when he's with the Justice League, when like you see more intergalactic villains and heroes, and like the worlds merges between all these different moving parts. But to see that in this series was very, very different. I mean, I didn't dislike it. It was just I didn't expect it. It caught me off guard a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because this show, it's a noir inspired, like it's very much a detective version of Batman. And it was very like grounded and kind of gritty, but then later in the season it definitely got very supernatural, like you said, with the Gentleman Ghost and also with Nocturna, who I'd never heard of that character, the Natalia Knight character, also her brother Anton Knight, who in the comics is also referred to as Night Slayer. These are characters I've never heard of. Um, Another character I've never heard of is Onomatopoeia, which is in one of the episodes. That character, I did some research. That character was created in 2002 by Kevin Smith, the director, and apparently that character is mostly a Batman or Green Arrow villain. But the character also appeared in season 3 of Superman and Lois, which I love that show. I watched the show, but they didn't call that character by that name. So that's why I didn't have any clue who this character was. So that was interesting. We get Floyd Lawton, who is Deadshot, but they don't refer to him as Deadshot. So I thought that was kind of a
Oh, Deadshot was in this?
yeah, Deadshot, but he's not called Deadshot. He's just called Floyd Lawton.
Which episode was that?
The same one with the onomatopoeia character. I think it was episode 7. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he's one of the assassins who's trying to take out Jim Gordon, the commissioner. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I mean, this because it's Batman, you're going to focus a lot on the villains. That's the way the movies have always worked. That's the way the shows has worked. And can't say there's anything wrong with it because it definitely is effective. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all the villains. Of course, the cops are corrupt. They're villains. Bullock and Flash, they're pretty much villains throughout the show.
Yeah.
And then Dent, who's running for mayor, who's the DA, he of course becomes a villain later in the season when he gets the acid on half of his face and then becomes Two-Face. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff with the villains. Is there anything you want to highlight from those characters?
I kind of wish they would have kept Dent as a recurring villain. Like I feel like his turn to Two-Face was so short lived. Like he literally turned into Two-Face episode 9, and then he was shot and killed in episode 10, and that was it. Like he's such a pivotal character in the comic books, and he becomes like a mob boss almost. Like he gains all this popularity for his brutality in the streets, and he gains his own gang. And like to not explore that a little bit more, I thought that they kind of dropped the ball a little bit on his character.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He was a character who was pretty much in every episode or most episodes, and it was surprising to, spoiler alert, have him die in the finale. That was definitely surprising. I think something that wasn't a surprise at all was the last scene of the show. We get hints of the Joker, but it seems like obviously it's only like about a 10-second clip. It seems like the Joker is more of like a serious like serial killer and not like a haha laugh guy. I don't know what did you make of that with the what we saw of the Joker?
Jay, you hit on the head. His voice is very deep. Like it it was very menacing. It was very like very baritone in his voice. It wasn't a cackling tone or vibe to his character. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they portray him in season two. More so, it's gonna be interesting how they convey the Joker Harley Quinzel if they do become a duo, because Harley becomes a villain because of Joker. So for this incarnation to have Harley already come into her own as a villain, um, that's a whole new different turn in this series. Which again, I have no problem with the different little subtle changes, as long as it's good. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they do cross paths. Speaking of Harley Quinn and Joker, moving forward, if they do they become a team, or are they at odds?
Yeah,
I guess we'll see.
yeah. That you brought up a good point. I didn't even think about the fact that Harley Quinn is already a villain, and it's not because of Joker. We don't even see we see Joker the very last scene of the 10th episode. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out in season two, if they're both in season two. Um, with with the villains, one of the things that I think probably got the most attention that I've seen online is people are curious about the Oswalda Cobblepot, the gender swapping of the penguin, because I don't think we've ever seen the penguin as a female, but I do think it works pretty well. And I guess this is a good time to mention that the penguin Oswaldo Cobblepot is voiced by Minnie Driver. So with
Huh.
the villains is when you get the bigger names in the cast. What did you think about the penguin being a female?
I love it. I'm
Yeah,
I'm all for change, as long as
yeah,
it's good. Like I'm all about good writing. If,
yeah,
if if you can write a character, if you can rewrite a character and it makes sense for the show, I'm cool with it. Like from the outside looking in, I mean, I know we only saw Oswaldo for one episode, but she looked just as menacing, if not more menacing and evil than the original male penguin. Like
right.
she killed one of her sons and was willing to kill the other one. Like she had no remorse about it. Like so, like that tells me right there, like they have no problem going a different route with this character, expounding on this character, and doing a gender swap to where it's making an impact on the show. I love it. I mean, I love that she's a singer. I love that she has no her code is, if you snitch, I don't care if you're my child, I'm offing you. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy, but at the same time, it's pretty dope to see them go this route with this character.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I thought, I mean, at first I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And in fact, at first I thought, okay, she's Oswalda, but I bet one of her kids is going to be Oswald, and we're going to get, one of them will become the penguin. Well, that doesn't happen because one of them dies in the first like 10 minutes of the episode. So you're right. She didn't care. Like she was definitely, I mean, probably more menacing than any penguin we've seen, except for maybe the version that we're going to see soon with Colin Farrell's a penguin on Max with that series. And I think that's probably why they decided to do something different, is because you have a penguin series just about to hit on TV. Like, let's be creative. Let's try something different. I think the same thing for Harley. To make Harley Quinn different, you've already got a very popular Harley Quinn animated show on Max that is very much the blonde, like that kind of look that we're all familiar with. So I think it's like, why not go a different way? Because both these characters have other things out there that are very popular, or we can kind of do what we want to. Um, I think both those worked really well. Uh, let's talk about some of the other voice actors who played the villains. Diedrich Bader is Harvey Dent slash Toothface. And I think it's interesting for that actor because he voiced the Batman in one of the Batman animated series. I believe it's Batman Brave and the Bold. So, what did you think about Harvey Dent in this series, where he goes from being, he's running for mayor, he's kind of the slimy DA who's just looking to advance his career, and then there are a couple moments where he actually, does a good thing, including his death. What do you think about it overall?
Yeah. Again, it's a different variant of. I'm using a Marvel term. It's a different variant from what I'm used to. like the Christopher Nolan series, Eckhart, who plays Two-Face, he was a no nonsense, hard nosed DA. He didn't bend justice. He was all about the law, the letter of the law, and and putting away thugs and people who are crooked, and never wavered. The Harvey Dent in the animated series, he was a friend of Bruce. He was a playboy as well, but he was kind of a loose cannon a little bit as well in the animated series. And in this Harvey Dent, it's a little bit of the two. Like it's a merge of the two. Like he's good at his job. He knows how to get people off. He knows how to arrest. He knows how to charge rap people, but at the same time, he doesn't mind bending the law to his whim, and he would do whatever it takes to get votes and to kiss babies and smile for the camera, to flash that charm to try to become mayor. So this Harvey Dent was kind of cool to see the different variances of him within this season, as far as like him bending the rules to his whim, but at the same time, when the light shined on him to do the right thing, he did.
Right.
And it cost him in the end, but I loved it. I loved it. I wish they would explore a little bit more of Dent and Bruce Wayne's relationship, because they are friends, and I feel like they didn't explore that till later on in the season, to like really after he got hit with acid. That's the only thing with him. And I wish he would have survived the season and became more of a recurring character. Mm-hmm. But I think that what the show is trying to show you is that they want to showcase more villains that aren't always highlighted in the Batman series of the past.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to usher in new villains to get the audience more acquainted with these new faces like Nocturna, like Firebug, Craddock, guys like people like that. So I was fine with it, man. I had no issues with Dent as far as like the character profile or any other villains on the show.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it was a great job by that character and by that voice actor to pull off that character, because you're right, the character was not like pure evil, but he kind of like toes the line, almost like Two-Face, where it's like he kind of played both sides. And yeah, of course he makes the sacrifice toward the end, because in the end he's half Two-Face. He's got the messed up face on part of his face, and the other side he's trying to do the right thing. So I mean, the story for him was a good story, but I think you're right. I think it should have been spread out over maybe another season or two, because he's such an integral part of the season. For him to die, it's like, he could be a great character to continue with all these other characters when you bring back the other villains and when you introduce new ones, because like we said, this show really introduced a lot of villains. I mean, basically a villain every episode, if not two. So
yeah,
we got a ton of stuff.
And like another problem I have with the Two-Face, the Two-Face character, I love the Dent. I love the Dent character for sure. Yeah. The Two-Face side of his character, I wish they would explore that a little bit more. And again, what makes Two-Face is not only the split personality disorder that he has now, but the coin, the patented coin is what that's his hallmark. That's like his emblem, right? Like that's how he gets every decision. And if I remember correctly, Justin, he only put that coin once. That was
one time.
Yeah, like that's Two-Face. That's his moniker. Like, how you not have more scenes with him with that coin to like they show the split personality of him like going in and out of like Dent and like the Two-Face persona, but like not showcase that coin, his moniker. I thought was kind of like you undercut characters for not showing that more.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. I think the coin, they only show the coin like in the first episode, maybe. Like
they showed it when one of the guys, one of the innocent people was about to get robbed, and like and he beat him up and took his gun and shot him in the leg. Okay. He put the coin whether to shoot him to kill him or not. And okay. So I mean, he shot him in the knee, but that was really the only time I saw him flip the coin as Two-Face.
Okay, I think it was twice then, because there's a courtroom scene where he's with Barbara Gordon where he offers the coin to her. He doesn't flip it, but he says like, let's flip for it. She's like, I'm not gonna like flip a coin to determine a man's life.
Right.
Yeah. So So yeah, you're right. They did not give the coin that much space on this show. That's very surprising.
Yeah, it's like having Thor and not having
Yeah,
Mjolnir or Stormbreaker. Like that's his moniker. That's what that's his weapon. That's his his weapon of choice.
mm,
That's his identifier. So yeah.
yeah. Good points there. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. That's yeah. It almost you wonder like with this show, this might be a 2-season thing. It might just be two and done. Because I don't know. Like it took a long time for this show to actually come out. I mean, we first heard about this in 2021. It just now came out, so it's not clear when we'll get season two. But they did kind of fly through a lot of stuff. It'll be interesting to see how long they plan to make this series go because to kill off Two Face that quickly, you know, that's that shows you're kind of like flying through it. Or like you said, maybe they're going to introduce a bunch of new people and
Yeah.
kind of go from there.
I have a question for you, Justin.
Yep.
So you and I, we were big cartoon fans growing up, part of
Yeah.
our childhood, even our adulthood now. Do you miss like the 20 episode runs from our childhood of these series, whether it's X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man, or are you more comfortable with the 10 episode runs that we get now in today's times?
That's a good question. I think for like the 20-minute shows, like these are like I said, they're like 25 minutes for this series, every episode. I think they should be like 20 minute or 20 episodes. Because you're really I mean, X-Men 97 easily could have been more episodes than it was because it was like what 10, 9, something like that.
10,
Like it
yeah.
was, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that would work better, and also I think like the weekly thing would work better for these shows. I mean, I get it. Like the times have changed, and these are especially when it's like these like bite-sized episodes. You can just drop it all, and people can knock it out in a weekend or a week or whatever. But yeah, I do kind of feel like this would be a better not that it's a bad show, but I think it would play better if it were spread out over, you know, several months and having, 15 or 20 episodes. What about you?
Yeah, I think so. For the sake of storytelling over a season,
Yeah.
like for case in point, that the Harvey Dent Two Face dilemma that we weren't so happy with. If this was 22 episodes long for a season, and let's say Harvey Dent becomes Two Face in episodes 8 or 9, how he became in this episode.
Yeah.
If you give me 22 episodes and he's a recurring character in season one, and you see the maturation of Two Face and he dies, let's say in the finale of episode 22,
Mhm.
I think I'm not as frustrated because you get 22 episodes, you get more time to tell a story of not just Harvey Dent, but all the other villains throughout the season, to where it doesn't feel rushed. And I feel like sometimes with these 10 episode seasons with cartoons especially, it feels kind of rushed. Like I
Yeah.
feel like you're speeding through storylines, you're not fleshing it out with great storytelling. Um, and it can't be money. It's Amazon, bro. It's Jeffrey Bezos. Like he has the
Yeah.
bread. Like if they want to do 20 episodes, they
Yeah.
can do 20 episodes. It's not a problem for them.
Right.
But I feel like I think now with today's times, showrunners are trying to make something so much more digestible.
Mhm.
But my theory is how much are you sacrificing story writing to make things digestible in a quick way?
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to exchange digestible quickly in the sake of like good story writing,
Yeah.
or lack thereof. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I think it's become a thing where we're kind of taught that, oh, if it's like 8 or 10 episodes, it's like kind of prestige or like you're getting the best 8 or 10 episodes that we can possibly tell, the best stories we have. We're going to give you this. But I do think it's more of just a sign of the times than anything else because had this show come out, you know, in the late 90s or even early 2000s, this would have been a 22 episode show. I mean, without question, it would have been. So, yeah, it's just kind of the way the times are. They're trying to, make everything seem prestigious, or to, give people like, oh, they're used to the 8 to 10 episodes. And I agree with you. Like with Harvey Dent, like you could say, well, they hit the high points, but I don't know if they hit all the high points. They just kind of they hit some of the high points, but then they just kind of moved the story along, which is, kind of, I don't know. Like in some ways you're like, okay, cool. Like you're telling a story, but like in other ways it's like you could tell more of a story. And with Batman, he has so many villains that you don't have to write them off. You can, I mean, yes, you could literally do a villain of the week, which is sort of what this show was in the first season.
Yeah.
But Harvey Dent was kind of like the overarching character in the background in this show. So um I don't know. I mean, you could go either way with it, but I would prefer to have more episodes and to have a little bit more space, because you're telling a lot of stuff in a short period of time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One of the villains we haven't talked about is Catwoman. Selena Kyle is voiced by Christina Ricci, and that's the third episode of the season. That might be my favorite. It's called Kiss of the Catwoman. Frank, what'd you think about this episode? What'd you think about the way they portrayed Selena Kyle?
It was different. It was definitely different. I mean,
Yeah,
Selena Kyle, from what I remember, I think she was an orphan as well. I think her dad was killed, and she grew up in the streets. Like she was a street kid who became a petty thief and who became really, really good at it. So to see this incarnation of her coming from money, but like it was more so like, I guess, dirty money. I don't know if I can't remember exactly what happened with her dad, but it wasn't from like hard work and dedication. It was
right.
the money was made in a very, a very criminal way, and to like now be on hard times. That was different. That was very, very different. Wasn't a big fan of the suit, I must say. I thought the suit would be more cat-like, I guess.
Yeah,
I wish I would have got an origin story of how she became Catwoman. Kind of like how we got like Harvey Dent, how he
right.
became Two-Face, and with Clayface as well. I wish we got more of an origin story to understand Selena Kyle a little bit more, because we know. I mean, I don't know about in this series, but we do know that she becomes in different medias. She becomes Batman's love interest,
Yeah,
so on and so forth. So maybe that will happen in this series, but I kind of wish we would have shown more of an origin story with her to connect her better with Batman, to get a better understanding of like how she became Catwoman and
right.
how she became broke, and things of that nature. So
Yeah, I think that they tried to like do an origin and everything in one episode, and I think they kind of tried to imply that she was kind of inspired by Batman. She saw Batman. Obviously, she needed money. She knew about these. There were all these like jewel, shows or whatever, and so she was, she became a cat burglar, and you know, that's pretty much it. I mean, she even, created her car to kind of look like the Batmobile, but this like I guess the Catmobile. And yeah, I agree with you. Her suit was a little different. I think it was kind of a golden age thing also, where I think back in the day, Catwoman. In fact, I'm pretty sure on the '60s TV show, I think she wore purple quite a bit, or
mm,
maybe I'm wrong about that, but like she definitely had like a cape, and there were different colors. It wasn't just black. So I don't know. I enjoyed the episode. I really liked her maid Greta, who is,
yeah,
it's just, is fed up with her because Selena's in debt because of her father. He left him kind of in a bad spot, and when he died, and so her her German housekeeper or whatever finally just says like, she bounces, she goes to the Bahamas and sells off a bunch of Selena's things and gets out of there. I thought that was kind of funny to have that character kind of,
hilarious.
yeah, that was a great character. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, really, a lot of these episodes were very much like kind of on the same level. I mean, I don't feel like there was like one that was like way better than all the rest, or one that was like much worse than all the rest. I feel like they were all kind of around the same, and there's kind of like moments here and there that kind of stood out. But I did like this episode. I also like the the Clayface episode. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How that all played out.
To go back to Catwoman, it's interesting because like watching that character, it's weird because like she's a villain. I mean, if you were to place her, she will be a villain, right? Like,
right.
But like the inspiration of her wanting to be Catwoman because seeing Batman and everything. I mean that's a interesting twist, bro. Like I know she's a villain, but to be so willing to steal pearls from a dead woman, from a philanthropist, that's wild to me. Like it's no secret that Bruce Wayne's parents were slain
right
in the streets of Gotham, and like she knows the story of Bruce Wayne's mother, and to like want to attempt to steal these pearls in the memory of Bruce Wayne's mom, that's wild.
Yeah.
that's some wild shit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It definitely is. And to go from like she's kind of a socialite to a cat burglar, like that happened very quickly. She definitely changed her character really, really fast in the episode. You know, we've been talking about voice actors and everything and the characters. Let's talk about Batman. What'd you think about Hamish Linklater, who I'm not familiar with this actor. If you see a picture of him, I think you've probably seen him before. He's been in some things, but like,
Yeah.
I definitely did not know the name. And I mean, I thought he actually did a really good job. What'd you think about his Batman, his Bruce Wayne?
I love his Bruce Wayne. I love his Bruce Wayne. I mean the variance between Bruce Wayne and Batman, the voice diction, the difference in cadence, the cadence and the pitch and all that is dope. It took me a good 7 episodes to get used to that deep voice, man. I'm so used to Kevin Conroy all these years. Kevin Conroy is my childhood. Like he passed away 4 or 5 years ago, but he's pretty much played Batman for the better part of 30 years, right? So like, I guess for me, it was more so me like still holding on to that. Like when he spoke, I was like, "Oh fuck, that ain't Kevin Conroy. That's somebody totally different."
Right.
And it took me a while to get used to it. He did a good job. Like one thing about like for me, one thing about historic pivotal characters, especially characters that have been played by one person for a long time, when you're supplanting somebody and taking up that mantle, you got to make it your own. You can't try to mimic what was before you, or you're gonna fall flat in your face, right? And I love how he made it his own. He made it his own. Like the voice was totally different. The Batman voice was totally different. The Bruce Wayne voice was totally different. It's just gonna take a while to get used to, I guess, because I've been so used to Kevin Conroy all these years. But he did a good job. He did a good job, and he made it his own. Like he has like now when I'm sure he'll be playing this moving forward as long as he's with Matt Reeves. But hearing that voice, I know okay, that's him. That's not Kevin Conroy. That's not Michael Keaton. That's not who. That's it. That's him. Like it's defined now. So good job for him making that character his own.
Yeah, I think the best thing I could say about the voice acting in this is you're right. He wasn't Kevin Conroy, but it was like it sounded like Batman to me. Like his Bruce Wayne and Batman were different, and it sounded like the characters. So I was really I didn't have a problem with it at all. It was just like, wow, this is who this is, and really like across the board, I thought the voice acting was really good. I mean, there's no one that I thought didn't do a good job. It was just solid throughout, and there's other people. Go ahead, Frank.
No. I was agreeing with you. Go ahead.
Yeah. In the episode Nocturne, I wanted to mention that I mentioned that there was that Natalia Knight character. That person, she was voiced by McKenna Grace, who you don't know who that is. She's in Stranger Things. She's also in the latest couple of Ghostbusters movies. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then the brother is voiced by Haley Joe Osment. So yeah, interesting that he got some work in that. And also, I didn't mention this earlier, but the the Penguins' sons are both voiced by Paul Scheer from the League, and he's on a bunch of different podcasts. So he got to voice both of the sons.
That was part that Dre
Yep.
from the League.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah.
Okay.
So he did both of the work on the sons. So that was kind of cool. I like when they kind of drop in some famous people in these kind of guest spots. So
The fact that they got Minnie Driver to do this, I thought
yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's an Academy Award winning actress. Like I mean, I haven't seen many Driver movies, but I know who she is because she's when you watch the Oscars and the Emmys, she's there. Like she's like one of those world renowned actors. So I mean renowned actors. So I mean for them to get her, I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No,
you go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to talk about this too, Jay. Let's talk about some of the. So we know we've seen different character profiles, a lot of like patent characters in this series. I want to talk about some of the ethnicity differences with some of these characters. Like this is a very progressive 1950s. Like you get an Asian Harley Quinzel.
Mm-hmm.
You get a black Commissioner Gordon and Barbara Gordon.
Right.
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting picks for this time frame in this series, man. What's your thoughts behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it works out well because of what we've seen with Batman lately. Think about the Batman. You have a black Commissioner Gordon in that movie. All these characters, they've kind of over the years, you've kind of done like, you've obviously, back in the day, everyone was white and all this stuff, and so like as we've kind of moved on as a country, like obviously that's not the case in life. So you've got to kind of, bring other people in to the sandbox to play. And so I think that makes sense with this. I do agree with you with the time period. To me, like I did notice that stuff, but to me it was also like they're not really like I've read stuff where they say it's like between the 1940s and the 1960s, but they're not really clear of exactly when the show takes place. So there's like some technology stuff that I noticed, like the fact that there's like TV news, which seems like they probably wouldn't have that in the 40s, certainly, maybe the 50s they would.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of the technology stuff was kind of strange, but as far as the different characters, I enjoyed the portrayals, and I think like Barbara Gordon was an attorney, which that's a little bit different. Usually she works for the police, or she's like a librarian or something. So like I thought that was kind of a good change in that character. Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers those characters. Is there anything else you want to mention about the Gordons, or maybe some of the corrupt cops, or just that storyline throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, the corrupt cops is something that has ran rampant through Gotham and all medias of the Batman series. Even that TV show Gotham, when it was on Fox, you had some crooked cops there too. The fact that you have minority leads in the 1940s through 60s or whatever time period it is, you have a black commissioner, a black attorney,
that's right,
a gay Asian therapist, like an Hispanic detective in Montoya who had a prominent lead in a prominent position within the police force. Like it's very progressive for the time for this time period, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It definitely was progressive. And you mentioned Lucius Fox. That was another good change because Lucius Fox, of course, I think he was probably most well known from the Dark Knight movies with Morgan Freeman playing him. And in this series, he doesn't work for Wayne, for the Wayne Enterprises or whatever as R&D guy. He is Bruce's attorney. So that was a change as far as like his occupation.
And he looks like the same age as Bruce, or like around the same age.
Right.
Yeah. Very, very interesting, man. With some of these takes, and I'm assuming he doesn't know he's Batman either, right?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Whereas that's a good point. Like in the Dark Knight, he does know, or he definitely figures it out pretty quickly that this Bruce Wayne guy's up to something.
Yeah.
And it's not spelunking or whatever he said. cave jumping or whatever. He's actually, going out in the night and beating up criminals and driving a tank around Gotham. Um, yeah, that's all good stuff. One of the things there's a couple Easter egg kind of things I wanted to mention. I wanted to see if you caught on or if you noticed some stuff that I didn't notice. The Nocturne episode, which there's a fundraiser, there's a carnival fundraiser that they all go to, and these like orphans are reported missing. Did you
Yeah.
notice the names of the orphans?
No.
So the names of the orphans are Steffi, which is short for Stephanie, Stephanie Brown. There's a kid named Dick Grayson. There's a kid named Jason Todd. And then they said also Carrie is missing, Carrie Kelly. So all of the kid names were all names of characters who become Robin.
Wait, there's a female Robin?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Carrie
know that.
Kelly. Yeah. There's two, Stephanie Brown and Carrie Kelly. Yeah.
Oh snap! I did not catch that at all.
Yeah. The one that was missing though was what's his name? The second, not the third Robin, Tim Drake,
Tim Drake.
who was in Titans. Yeah. So that brings me to the question: do you think they're going to get to a Robin in the series? Because those kids they're all pretty young.
I don't think so. Only because Batman is. It seemed like Batman's earlier in his career, and like
Yeah.
Robin doesn't show up until like later on in Batman's Crusader career. So
Right.
unless they change the timeline but like you said, he's an orphan. Like not Tim Drake. Dick Grayson's an orphan already in this series. So at this time he was with his family in the flying Graysons. And that's why I thought. And so when I saw the carnival come in town, when I saw the bearded lady and the different carnival acts, I was like, okay, are we gonna get a Grayson's family Easter egg in this one? But they didn't go that route. That totally off my head of the different names of the different Robins in the orphanage. So
yeah,
I mean, will.
It may just be like they just coincidentally had names that are people who became Robin, but I think it was obviously intentional to kind of point to Robin. But it is interesting to me how like the movies, besides what Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, Robin, we don't see Robin in the movies.
You see him in Dark Knight Rises and towards
Right.
the end
Right at the very end, yeah.
When you find out that's Dick Grayson as a detective. But
Yeah.
even in that version, he's a cop. So
Yeah.
So it's they've changed up his origin story a few times over the years that we've seen in these different media platforms. So I don't know. I mean, if it's only gonna be 2 seasons, I don't see how they'll be able to fit Robin into this. Even with Barbara Gordon, does she become Batgirl? I mean, she is Batgirl eventually. Do we see that at all? I mean, we do see her fight a little bit in season 1. She beat up a couple of guys, and the shooting. She shot a couple of people too. I mean, does she become Batgirl later on? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's to me, it's really interesting to see like what is going to happen with this because you're kind of seeding a lot of stuff out there, but then you've got to kind of give it time to grow. And with the Robin thing, it's like, I'm not sure if Pattinson's Batman's going to have a Robin either. So it's like, in Ben Affleck's Batman had a Robin supposedly, but he was killed by the Joker. And, like you said, like Bale's Batman had a Robin at the very end of Dark Knight Rises. It's just interesting to me that like Robin kind of gets the short shrift in a lot of these like shows and stuff, like except for Titans. Obviously Titans, we had all the Robins or 3 of the Robins. So
that might be the best Robin though. That version Dick Grayson, that Robin's cold.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And even Jason Todd and Tim Drake, those were all, pretty well represented in that show. So I don't know. I would like to see a Robin because I know like some people are like, oh, well, it's not very realistic. But then it's like, well, neither is, you're fighting, these like ghosts from the past or whatever who ride horses. Like that was kind of that was kind of a strange turn. Something else from the carnival, real quick, I want to mention to you. Did you notice how the circus freak, his name was Waylon, and he's kind of greenish? Do you know who they're referencing?
Killer Croc?
Killer Croc, yeah.
Okay. I thought so, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did too. I was looking, I was like, that's gotta be him. And then I looked up Killer Croc's name, and sure enough, his name's Waylon Jones, and the circus freak's name is Waylon. So
again, man, could we get an origin story, man, before we just introduce these characters out of nowhere? Like, I saw him, I was like, is that Killer Croc? But I wasn't sure. I was like, he's green, he looks like Killer Croc, but
yeah,
they didn't really specify him. I know he helped jump. I know he helped beat up Bruce Wayne, but they didn't really highlight him like that.
yeah. I think honestly, I think a lot of stuff is played just to be like Easter egg stuff, just for fans to notice and talk about, because they don't really. It doesn't seem like they have plans to take these characters any further than just, hey, here's a nod to something you probably know if you're a Batman fan.
Yeah.
Did you notice any other kind of Easter eggy things throughout the episodes that maybe highlight something that you know from your knowledge of Batman? Or
nah, not really. Everything you mentioned, I didn't catch, outside of like maybe the Killer Croc thing, but I didn't catch none of the kids' names, the future Robins. I didn't catch any of that. Nah, all this is pretty much new to me. I didn't really know which way they would go with these characters. To be honest, I didn't think Harvey Dent would turn into Two-Face, because it was so late into the season. I was like, well, maybe turn into Two-Face next season. And then in episode 9, when we get there, I was kind of surprised. So
yeah,
nah, this show really took me by surprise. I kind of just came with it with an open mind, and like from the jump, when I saw a female penguin, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be surprised by whatever they throw at me, because I'm not gonna know what they're gonna do next. All the different character profiles that they're throwing at us. So no, I didn't catch any of that, to be honest.
yeah. The only other thing that I can think of that's kind of an Easter egg thing was in, I think, the 4th episode, when Harley Quinn's talking about her. I don't know if she's saying her mentor or one of her teachers, but she references a Dr. Crane, which I think is a reference to Scarecrow.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're good, man. I did it. That didn't ring a bell when I heard that.
Yeah, I was kind of like listening for like names that I knew, because with a lot of the police officers, like I know Flash is in the comics, and I'm pretty sure he's been in one of the movies. I know Bullock is in Batman '89, so I know some of the names. And obviously Montoya was in Dark Knight.
Harley, and she was in Harley. Was she in Harley Quinn as well?
Yeah, she was also
Rosa Perez's character,
right. But there's a lot of those characters like I'd never heard of that apparently are characters in the comics. Jim Corrigan, he's one of the characters on the Force he's the one who actually tries to shoot Barbara in one of the episodes, and that gets foiled. I wasn't familiar with him. My Batman knowledge really, I mean, I'm pretty solid on the movies and some of the animated stuff, but I haven't really read many Batman comics, so I don't know a ton about all the inner workings of the character. But I do appreciate when these shows try to, introduce some characters that, maybe the movies will eventually get around to doing. And I think that's what this show does a pretty good job of, despite the fact that, like we said, they kind of rush through a lot of key moments that they kind of skip over in service of their story. But, all in all, pretty good season of TV. Frank, do you have anything else you want to talk about from this season that we didn't mention?
That we did not mention. Clayface, man. Like, are we gonna get more Clayface in the future? Like, I feel like I know a lot of these villains have one-offs, but he's another great character, man. I feel like we should get more of outside just that one episode. Like, I really like that. And like I said, I think you mentioned it earlier, I like this version of Clayface. He's not as monstrous looking and gulky and blobbly looking like he was in the animated series, but I kind of wish we got more of him moving forward, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then as far as like obviously people are going to compare this one to the Batman the animated series. What did you think about just like the way the show looked, as far as like the design and everything? Did it remind you of the animated series? Did you think it was like different enough, or kind of in the middle? What do you think about how it looked?
The look, at times it did, but then like
Yeah.
with different like the media stuff you was talking about, I kind of forgot it was the 50s or 40s. It looked more futuristic at times.
Yeah.
The the more adult layered verbiage I thought was what made it more different. It made it more um adulterated, with the
Yeah.
with the light cursing and the even like the love interest, like the with Quinzel and like Montoya. I was not expecting any of that. That was very, very different. Um, but as far as the look, at times it did, at times, but I can tell Matt Reeves is trying to add his own little flair to it. I'm gonna turn a light on real quick so I get dark over
Okay.
here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like there was a lot of stuff that I feel like this show was kind of like, it's definitely like kids can certainly watch this show, but it's definitely aimed at an older audience. It's definitely aimed at the audience of people who grew up watching the animated series and who just want to watch a new animated series that's feels very similar to what they watched back in the 90s. So I think it was mission accomplished on that front, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I thought, I thought the illustration was great. I had no problem with the illustration at all. Thought the action was good. I would like to see more Bat toys,
Yeah.
like, moving forward. I know this Batman is early on, so
Yeah.
like I know we probably won't need the Batwing, the plane, and like
Right.
a lot more of the gadgets. But I hope moving forward we start to unveil that a little bit more, as well. And yeah, like in the Robin thing is a very interesting thing because it seemed like to me like there were episodes where it's like 15 to 1. 10, like there was like the Harvey Dent episode, like I think he told Gordon, yeah, there's 15 guys docked, are surrounding us. The back exit's clear though. Like I that's cool and everything, but it's like how many more of these episodes are we gonna get like Batman fighting 10, 15 guys? Like an episode against the Penguin, like he's fighting Oswaldo's men on that little ship dock thing. Like it's like just him. I'm like, are they going to showcase Gordon and Barbara more as sidekicks in a way, or are they going to like eventually bring in somebody else that kind of like be a sidekick? Because even in animated series later on, like you said, you did get Batgirl, you did get Robin, um, guys like that, moving forward. So, but there was like episodes where it was like 10 to 1, 15 to 1. Like it was like, okay, we get it. He's cold, but like even Batman needs some help sometimes too. Now, come on now.
Yeah, I mean the thing with this series is he's still, the authorities are still trying to like, I mean, he's not like friend. I mean, he's working with the police in a certain way, but he's not like, they're not on the same side per se. So I mean, it does do a good job at the beginning where they're referring to him as the Batman. It's almost like he's like this mythical creature who's not real, and in a lot of ways, they kind of, there's scenes from the first episode that kind of remind me of Batman '89, where they don't believe he's a real thing, and then he busts up the crime ring, and then they see him, and then the cops are trying to chase him, and they have like a special task force to you know apprehend the Batman. So yeah, I agree with you. Eventually, Batman's going to have some help, I would think. But you mentioned about the devices and stuff. What did you think about the car? What did you think about the Batmobile in this show?
The Batmobile always had a futuristic look, that that
Right.
that was far advanced from whatever time that the show was trying to portray.
Mhm.
So I had no problem with the Batmobile. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I wish it got more Batmobile. It seemed like he was like Spider-Man this season. He was going from like building to building more this season. You didn't see many scenes of him driving the Batmobile
Yeah.
this season. So hopefully we get more scenes of him driving or flying or in his vehicles a little bit more.
Yeah.
But no, I thought the Batmobile was pretty cool. Just want to see more of it.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of it too. I think as far as Batmobiles go, this one's like kind of plain. I mean, it's obviously still a cool car compared to like other cars, but like it didn't seem like it was like very descript. Like I feel like, and I went back today and I looked up a picture of the animated series Batmobile, and it's kind of similar. Like both of them are pretty, and maybe it's just of the time where both are set in like a 40s, 50s, 60s kind of time period, so you don't have as many accessories or many like advancements in automobiles, so you don't have that kind of look. But to me, it was kind of plain, and I would like personally like my favorite Batmobile is the '89 one, but honestly, really all the other ones I think are really cool also. And this is probably lower on my list of Batmobiles just because it's not that memorable. And another thing about the show that I think wasn't that memorable is the music. I don't know what'd you think about the theme song? It seemed like it was fine. It felt Batmanish, but it wasn't like some like I'm gonna like hum this song in my head all day long. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it wasn't. It was very forgettable.
yeah,
Like when Tim Burton's Batman, da-da-da-da-da,
yeah,
da-da-da, like it's like oh shit, that's Tim Burton. Oh shit,
yeah,
that's either Batman or Batman Returns. Like
yeah,
which Batman it is. With animated series, it's the same thing as well. This one was more. I don't know. It wasn't. It seemed like a very grim orchestra playing in the
yeah,
background.
yeah,
It wasn't really like it didn't hit you, I guess.
right,
And maybe it will over time. Maybe as if the show goes on for a few seasons, maybe it becomes more of a mainstay, like as far as like a recognizable brand, like a lot of the shows with their intros. But I remember when the animated series came in '92. I remember that series. I remember that theme when it came out. Like it nabbed me right then and there. When I watched Batman '89 and Batman Returns when he's driving the Batmobile and he's beating up people, like when that music comes on, I know exactly where I was at the first time I heard it. Right, like it's very nostalgic. This one was very ho hum. It wasn't. It didn't give me Batman feelings or whatever. So
yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. It was very much like background music. That's all it kind of was. It was like kind of like ambient, kind of like just background sound that's um yeah, it wasn't very memorable. And that was a little surprising for a Batman show because Batman, not that I mean, obviously the Tim Burton Danny Elfman music from '89, which also was used in the animated series and Batman Returns, that stuff that's like kind of the sound of Batman. But even later on versions of Batman from, of course, The Dark Knight, which had great sound, and then even I guess even kind of like what happened. Well, I mean, Batman versus Superman really didn't have a distinct Batman sound, I guess. But yeah, this was just kind of not bad. Like it definitely made me think it was Batman, but it didn't like I'm not gonna like go look up the music on YouTube and listen to it tomorrow or something. So little, slightly disappointed. I mean, we're nitpicking because I mean this is pretty good show overall, I would think.
oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, lot
What
lot of
are,
lot of good stuff.
what are some villain? Oh, name a villain that you will want to see next season that you can get to see this season.
I've got two. I kind of like to see Riddler. I think Riddler would
Mm,
definitely work in this world, and then I think Mr. Freeze, just because like Mr. Freeze was such a big character in the animated series.
yeah,
His storyline was so like I feel like they'll have something special with that character, and I think I think at least one of those is guaranteed for season two, if not both of them. What
yeah,
about you? Is there a villain you'd like to see?
yeah. I have two as well. Man, I would love to see Bane. Bane is like Tom Hardy's Bane. I fell in love with him in Dark Knight Rises. Love to see Bane if it does come to that. And the Red Hood. I mean, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I guess to get the Red Hood, you need to get Jason Todd's Robin first, but it will be kind of dope to see the Red Hood, the vigilante, the pretty much the Punisher of DC, pretty much. Like I would love to see that play out, especially in this incarnation where it's a little bit more adult. Like I mean, they ain't putting any punches. You saw gunshots. You saw people getting shot in this series and getting killed in this series. I think a Red Hood would be perfect for this series moving forward if they do decide to go that route.
Yeah, I think Red Hood could really work, and I think kind of like how they made little changes to other characters. I think if they did do a Red Hood, he wouldn't necessarily have to be a Robin. It could just be someone who's the Red Hood, who's kind of an anti-hero, not a villain per se, but not, certainly not a hero. And I think that could actually work pretty well and just skip over the Robin part of it, which I mean, that obviously is a big part of that character. But as we've seen with the show, they've kind of skipped over a lot of stuff in service of just telling their own story, which I give them credit for, doing something different. But there are a lot of things out there that they could do that seems like layup kind of stuff that I guess they're trying to be creative, which, you know what? The show works. I mean, it's not a bad show. So, it's working out well. I'm looking forward to season 2, whenever that might be. Frank, is there anything else you want to mention about this show before we get out of here?
Nah, man. I mean, for season 1, it was really, really good. I mean, I think it's a really good building blocks for the future. Just give me more episodes, man. Give me more villain mainstay.
Yeah.
Let's get away from the one-off, man. Let's do some story building for season 2.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully we'll find out when season 2 is coming. Maybe it's next year, but probably be 2026. But there's a lot of stuff in between that we'll have to talk about. But yeah, this was definitely a good show. Honestly, it's one of those things where it was announced so long ago that I kind of forgot about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's coming out this year. And it's like, oh, wow, when's it coming out? Oh, it's coming out like next week. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I've got to watch it. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising though, because Batman is, the second biggest superhero in the world behind Spider-Man. So, I feel like this was kind of an under the radar kind of show that I don't feel like enough people have probably watched this show or are talking about this show. So, I'm glad we took a look at it and offered our thoughts. So now you know what we thought about it. We want to know what you think about it. And the best way to do that, of course, is to join us for our live stream, our chat. Shout out to King B Johnson, who's been in there all night, offering up his takes on the episodes, his favorite episodes. We appreciate that very much. We hopefully in the future more of you can join us for our live chat, but if not, we understand. Obviously, you can join us in the comments below all the time. Let us know what you think about this show, your favorite character, your favorite episode, what you want to see for future seasons. Let us know. We'd appreciate it. Also, we're on social media, so you can follow us on Facebook. We're on Twitter /X. We're on Instagram. We're on Threads. We're at Watchers Basement. And if you're, commenting on social media, be sure to use the hashtag Watchers Basement. We appreciate that. And hey, we understand, like, if video is not your thing, we get you covered. We're also on the audio platforms. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate that. So Frank, as we get out of here, any final thoughts, any closing words you want to say?
Great show, man. Let's fuck some shit up, man. Bring Superman in here for episode 2, man. Why not? Let's get
Season 2. Batman v Superman, or Batman Cape Crusader v Superman, Man of Steel, or something. Yeah.
Aren't they right next door to each other? Or I never know what Kansas. I never know what Metropolis and Gotham are at. Like, it's like they never really explain it to me, like how far these cities are from each other.
That is one of like the greatest questions in comics, because I think in some of the comics they literally are side by side, which to me makes no sense, because like why would you need Batman if Superman's like next door, right? Because he can hear and he's super fast, but I mean, because like geography wise, it really wouldn't make sense, because it's like Smallville is this rural town in the middle of nowhere, but then Metropolis is like, I guess, not too far away.
Yeah.
But then Gotham is like portrayed like looks like Chicago, but it's like New York. But then Metropolis is also New York. But then in Batman v Superman, they're like Oakland and San Francisco next to each other, but they're both New York. Like the geography of the DC universe is pretty wild.
And like the cartoons I've seen the Kents go from like Smallville to visit Clark in Metropolis. All people don't like driving like that, man. So like I know it's not right down the street.
I think that's what we need. We need a map for the DC universe. Like we need a map to show us like where's Central City, where's Star City, where's Coast City, all these like locations. I know Atlantis is underwater. That one's not hard to find. And
yeah,
Themyscira is like invisible or whatever. We can't see it. Isn't it kind of like Wakanda, where it's like
it's like a body of water. Like if you drive through like the mist and fog, all of a sudden you hit the island. But then if you're a guy, you get killed right away. So it's like I don't fucking know.
It's the Bermuda Triangle of the DC universe.
Yeah.
I mean that would be interesting to see. Like, will we get Superman or Wonder Woman or maybe like Green Arrow or Green Lantern or something? I don't really see that happening. But then like there were supernatural characters in this season, which I didn't see that coming either. So. Yeah. I mean, I'd be down for it. I like a lot of DC characters, so I'd say the more the merrier. But I also understand like a lot of people who like Batman as a singular hero. Yeah. I mean, maybe Batman with Robin, but like they like the Batman universe and they like the Gotham City of it, and they don't think that Batman mixes well with the other superheroes. And in some ways, I agree with them, but. Also, like Batman is, one of the biggest characters in DC, and so it's kind of hard to keep him always separated from Superman and Wonder Woman and those other characters. But see how it goes. We'll see what they give us in season 2. We will certainly be back to talk about that, and we'll be back talking very soon about other things as well. We're gonna Frank, you and I, we're gonna be doing a football podcast pretty soon too. So the football season's not very far away. For some people, it's already here. If you're watching preseason football, I'm not one of those people, but if you are, enjoy. But once the real thing kicks off, we're going to be talking about it. So that's one thing we're looking forward to. Also, like, even though it's hot as hell where we are, the summer's kind of ending pretty soon. So we're going to catch you up on what we've been watching this summer that we haven't talked about on the podcast. We've talked about a ton of stuff on the podcast. So check us out in a week or so, and we let you know what we've been watching outside of the stuff we've been reviewing every week.
Yeah, and also guys and ladies, man, if y'all have a show or movies that you guys want us to talk about or to review, drop it in the chat, drop it in the comments, man. We want to know what you guys think. And again, like, thank you for everybody who watches our show, who follow us. For those who watch and don't follow, hit the subscribe button, man. You'll get all the latest episodes, all the updates of the next episodes. We appreciate all the views, but we will be even more appreciative if you sign up and subscribe.
Yeah, very well said. Like and subscribe everything. We appreciate it. It really does help us. I know it's just like a click. It's a mouse click, and then you're done, and it really helps us out. So please do that. So we're going to wrap it up tonight. So for Frank, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Shout out to Black Gordon, baby.